The bus hummed across the Queensboro Bridge under a cold drizzle. Streetlights shimmered on the wet glass, turning the city below into a river of gold and steel. Anna Tran, 5 months pregnant, clutched her belly and tried to breathe through the pain in her chest. Her husband, Mark Ellis, sat beside her, scrolling his iPhone, pretending not to see the tears pooling at the edge of her lashes. "Mark," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We can't keep fighting like this. I just need you to be here. For me, for the baby." Mark didn't look up. "You think I don't have enough pressure already?" he hissed. "You can't even work full-time, Anna. Who do you think pays the rent? You? Or your coffee shop tips?" His tone sliced through the hum of the bus. The driver glanced at them through the rear mirror, then back to the road. The night was quiet, except for the rain tapping on metal. Anna's hand trembled against the seat rail. "I'm trying," she said softly. "I've been saving. I even picked up extra shifts, but I need to see the doctor again next week." Mark snapped. "You and that baby are draining me. You hear me?" The words hit her like a slap. She turned toward the fogged window, eyes wet. Outside, the Manhattan skyline glowed, sharp, distant, unreachable. Mark's phone buzzed again. A name flashed on the screen. "Chloe?" Anna's heart dropped. She'd seen the name before. She'd asked about it. He'd lied. "Who is that?" she asked quietly. Mark's jaw clenched. "Don't start again." "Mark?" Her voice cracked. "I know about her." He turned sharply. The bus lurched and Anna caught herself against the rail. Mark leaned closer, his voice a hiss. "You think anyone will believe you? You're a nobody from Queens. I'm done being chained to you." "Stop, Mark, please." But his anger had already boiled past reason. He stood up, towering over her. "You should have just kept quiet," he said. The bus hit a bump. The driver shouted, "Hey, sit down." But Mark was already grabbing Anna's arm. She gasped in pain as he yanked her toward the rear door. "Mark, stop, I'm pregnant." He shoved once, hard. The world spun. Anna's scream was swallowed by the roar of the city as her body hit the slick road. She rolled onto her side, the sound of tires screeching inches from her head. Horns blared, a bus door slammed open and chaos erupted. "Jesus, someone call 911!" A passenger shouted. From behind, headlights cut through the rain. A black Mercedes S-Class braked so hard the tires smoked. The driver, a man in a dark coat, jumped out before the car fully stopped. He ran toward Anna, kneeling beside her as she tried to breathe. "Stay still," he said calmly, his voice deep but steady. "Don't move, you're safe now." Anna's eyes fluttered. She saw the reflection of his face through the blur of rain and tears. Strong, determined eyes. A stranger's face, yet somehow she felt a strange pull of safety. The man pulled out his phone, dialing emergency services with practiced urgency. "This is Adrian Cole," he said. "I need an ambulance on Queensboro Bridge. Pregnant woman hit, condition unstable." He removed his coat, covered her trembling body, and shielded her from the headlights of passing cars. Somewhere up the bridge, Mark was gone, vanished into the night. Adrian glanced around, scanning the shadows. Something flickered in his gaze. He reached inside his car and hit a button. The small camera on his dashboard kept blinking red. Recording. And in that recording, the truth of what really happened had already been captured. The antiseptic smell of New York Presbyterian Hospital filled the air. Machines beeped softly beside the bed where Anna lay, her skin pale against the white sheets. The last thing she remembered was rain, headlights, and a man's voice telling her she was safe. Now she was awake in a sterile room with a dull pain in her abdomen and the faint thump of her baby's heartbeat echoing in the monitor. "Good morning, Mrs. Ellis," said a nurse named Maria, checking her IV. "You're lucky to be alive. Your baby's heart rate was weak at first, but it's steady now." Anna's lips quivered. "Where's my husband?" Before Maria could answer, the door opened. Mark walked in, wearing a fake look of panic and relief. His hair was slicked back, his clothes neatly pressed. Too perfect for a man who supposedly watched his wife fall from a moving bus. "Anna!" he exclaimed, rushing to her side. "Oh my God, you scared me half to death. What were you thinking?" Anna blinked, confused. "What I was thinking? You?" Mark quickly squeezed her hand and leaned closer. "Don't talk like that in front of the staff, okay? They'll misunderstand." Maria frowned slightly but said nothing. She adjusted the monitor, then left to check on another patient. The door closed behind her and the silence turned heavy. "Mark," Anna whispered, "you pushed me." Mark's eyes turned cold. Watch your mouth. You slipped, Anna. You lost your balance. That's what you'll say. Understand? The police might come and we don't want drama. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I remember what you did. He leaned closer, voice low and sharp. You remember what I tell you to remember. You fell. That's the story. Before she could respond, a knock came. A tall man in a gray coat stepped in, Adrian Cole, the stranger from the bridge. His presence filled the room with quiet authority. Mrs. Ellis, he said, his tone calm but firm. You're safe now? I was the one who called 911. I stayed until the ambulance arrived. Anna's eyes widened. You're the one from the Mercedes. Adrian nodded. Yes, I wanted to make sure you and the baby were okay. He handed her a card. Adrian Cole, founder and CEO, MedTech Data Systems, Park Avenue. Mark's face stiffened. You don't need to involve yourself, sir. My wife just... Adrian interrupted softly. The incident was recorded on my dashcam. The police have a copy. The air froze. Mark's jaw clenched so tight it looked painful. Recorded? Adrian nodded. Every second. For the first time, Anna felt her lungs fill with hope. Mark forced a laugh. That's great. It'll prove it was an accident, right? Adrian's gaze didn't move. It'll prove what it needs to prove. He turned to Anna. The doctor will be here soon. You need rest. I'll check in again later. When he left, the room seemed to lose all its light. Mark stood there for a long time, his expression unreadable. Then he leaned in close again. You think that man cares about you? He'll disappear once this is over. And if you ever tell anyone I pushed you, I swear you'll regret it. Anna flinched. Mark, please. He straightened, forcing a smile just as Maria returned. She's fine, he told the nurse. Just shaken. But Maria noticed the tears still on Anna's cheeks and the bruises blooming along her wrist. Later that night, as Anna tried to sleep, she saw a light flash on the table. Mark's phone, left carelessly beside her, buzzed. The screen lit up with a message. Can't believe you let her survive, Chloe. Anna's breath caught. And that was the moment she realized. The man she once trusted wanted her gone for good. The small apartment in Queens smelled faintly of instant noodles and cold coffee. The radiator clanged against the silence, struggling to warm the cracked walls. It was the kind of place that always felt temporary, like its tenants were holding their breath, waiting for life to finally start. Anna used to believe she and Mark would build something better together. But lately, it felt like she was the only one still trying. Months before the accident, Anna stood by the tiny kitchen counter, folding laundry under the yellow light of a flickering bulb. Mark came home late again, his tie loose, his shirt half untucked. He reeked faintly of expensive perfume, one she didn't own. You're late, Anna said quietly, not looking up. Mark shrugged, tossing his keys onto the table. Work dinner. You wouldn't understand. I called, she said. You didn't answer. My phone died, he replied flatly. Anna turned around slowly. Then, how did you text me 10 minutes ago? Mark's jaw tightened. Jesus, Anna, can you not start with your paranoia tonight? I'm exhausted. She pressed her lips together, fighting tears. It's not paranoia if I can smell her on you, he scoffed, pulling off his shirt. You think I'm cheating because I smell nice? Maybe you should stop being so insecure. Anna turned away, her hand trembling over the laundry basket. She didn't want to argue anymore. The doctor had warned her to stay calm for the baby's sake. But calmness was impossible when every word from him felt like another cut. Later that night, while he showered, she noticed a small jewelry box sticking out of his briefcase. Inside was a silver Tiffany pendant shaped like a heart. It was new. The receipt tucked beneath it was addressed to Chloe Hart. Her breath hitched. The name she'd seen flashing on his phone. The name that haunted her. When Mark came out of the bathroom, she held the box out silently. You dropped something, she said. For a second he froze, but then smirked, recovering fast. Oh, that? It's for a client. A PR manager who helped me close a deal. Close a deal, she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. You bought jewelry for another woman. It's business, he snapped. Do you have any idea how the world works? Not everything is about jealousy. Anna blinked, stunned by his shamelessness. You're lying to me, Mark. I can feel it. He stepped closer, the smell of cologne and anger suffocating. You don't get to accuse me when you don't pay half the bills. You think being pregnant makes you the victim? Grow up. Her lip quivered. I'm carrying your child. His expression darkened. That child wasn't my idea. The words hung heavy in the air. Anna felt her heart splinter. From that night on, something inside her shut down. She still smiled for him in public, still packed his lunch, still hoped he'd change. But the warmth between them was gone. Their home turned into a cage of quiet resentment. She began keeping a small notebook, writing down everything he said, every insult, every time he came home smelling of Chloe's perfume. It wasn't revenge, it was survival. Weeks later, the morning before the bus ride, she sat at the table sipping weak coffee from a chipped mug, staring at her reflection in the window. The winter light made her face look older, tired, defeated. Her phone buzzed. A message from Mark. "Pack up my gray suit. Dinner meeting tonight." But she knew there was no meeting. She'd overheard him on the phone the night before, his voice soft, playful, saying, "See you at Midtown, babe." She whispered to herself, maybe he'll come home this time. But deep down, she knew better. When he finally walked through the door that evening, as she caught the faint glint of the Tiffany heart around his wrist, Chloe's necklace chain looped like a trophy. And that was the moment Anna realized the man she once loved was slowly preparing to erase her from his life. Rain streaked down the windshield like threads of silver. Adrian Cole tightened his grip on the steering wheel of his black Mercedes S-Class, eyes fixed on the glowing stretch of the Queensboro Bridge ahead. It was nearly midnight, and most of Manhattan was already swallowed in mist. He had just left a late meeting at his Park Avenue office, his Mont Blanc pen still tucked neatly into his suit pocket, his mind running through numbers and contracts. To everyone in New York, Adrian was the picture of success, a billionaire tech founder who'd built medtech data systems from scratch. But tonight, he wasn't thinking about his company. He was thinking about his wife, Claire, the one he'd lost 3 years ago in a car crash. She'd been driving home alone on a rainy night, just like this one. A drunk driver swerved into her lane. The police said she died instantly, but Adrian never forgave himself. He was supposed to pick her up that night. Instead, he texted her. Just 5 more minutes. 5 minutes too late. Since then, he'd stopped hiring chauffeurs. He always drove himself. Maybe it was guilt, maybe control, maybe both. But he couldn't stand the thought of another life lost on the road while he sat safely behind glass. He turned up the wipers and exhaled. The dashboard clock blinked 11:42 p.m. As he drove, his car's onboard camera, a small dashcam he'd installed personally, blinked red, quietly recording the empty road. Then, in the distance, a flash of motion. A city bus swerved slightly ahead of him, tires screeching. Someone fell from its rear door and hit the pavement hard. Adrian slammed the brakes. The car fishtailed for half a second before stopping a few feet away. His heart pounded in his throat as he threw open the door and ran into the rain. A woman lay on the wet asphalt, one hand clutching her stomach, her eyes barely open. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. "Please," she whispered. Adrian dropped to his knees beside her. "Don't move," he said calmly. "You're hurt. I've called 911. Her gaze darted around, confused. "The baby." He looked down. Her hands were covered in blood. Panic hit him like a punch, but he didn't show it. He took off his coat, wrapped it around her, and shielded her from the headlights of the cars slowing to stare. "It's okay," he said softly. "I've got you." He dialed emergency again, his voice sharp now. "This is Adrian Cole. Yes, the bridge. Pregnant woman, severe fall. I need an ambulance immediately." As sirens began to echo faintly in the distance, Adrian turned toward the bus. The driver was shouting, trying to control the chaos. A few passengers stood frozen by the door. One of them yelled, "Her husband pushed her." Adrian's eyes narrowed. Her husband? But the man was already gone. Adrian scanned the rain-soaked road, seeing nothing but moving headlights and the dark outline of the bridge rail. Whoever the husband was, he'd vanished into the city like a ghost. The woman, Anna, began to lose consciousness. Her breathing slowed, her voice fading. Adrian touched her wrist, searching for a pulse. "Stay with me," he murmured. "You're safe now." She opened her eyes one last time. "Thank you." He squeezed her hand. "You're going to be fine, I promise." The ambulance arrived minutes later. Paramedics lifted her carefully onto a stretcher. Adrian followed them to the hospital, unwilling to leave. He gave his name, his contact, his insurance, insisting on covering initial costs. When they wheeled Anna into surgery, he stood in the corridor, soaked and silent. A young officer approached. "Sir, you said you have a recording?" Adrian nodded slowly. Yes, my dashcam. It caught everything. The officer took notes, then looked up. That footage might change her whole life. Adrian stared at the blinking light on his key fob, thinking of the woman on that stretcher, and of the rain still falling outside. And for the first time in years, he felt like fate had given him a second chance to save someone when it mattered most. The rain had stopped by morning, but the city still wore the gray bruises of the night before. In a sleek midtown apartment with glass walls and white marble floors, Chloe Hart poured herself a mimosa and admired her reflection. Her long auburn hair framed a face too beautiful to be innocent. She smiled at the mirror, adjusting a small silver Tiffany heart pendant around her neck, the same one Anna had once found hidden in Mark's briefcase. Her phone buzzed. A message from Mark flashed. "She's in the hospital. Don't text." Chloe's lips curved into a lazy smirk. She sipped her drink, crossing one leg over the other. "Poor little Anna," she whispered. "Always in the wrong place at the wrong time." A faint knock echoed at her door. She opened it to reveal Mark, drenched, nervous, eyes darting down the hall before stepping inside. He looked nothing like the charming man who used to meet her in hotel bars. His tie was loose, his hands shaking. "You shouldn't have come," Chloe said, locking the door behind him. "They'll be watching you." "I had to," he muttered. "She's awake." Chloe arched an eyebrow. "So? She remembers." His voice cracked. "She said I pushed her." Chloe leaned back against the counter, unbothered. "Let her say it. You think anyone will believe her? You're her husband. She's emotional, pregnant, unstable. We can spin that." Mark paced, running a hand through his hair. "There's a man, some rich guy. He says he has a recording." "A recording?" Chloe frowned. "He had a camera in his car. He saw everything." For the first time, Chloe's confidence flickered. She set her glass down, hard enough to crack it. "Who is he?" "Adrian Cole," Mark said, his voice dropping. "Some tech billionaire. He was the one who called the ambulance." Chloe's eyes widened. She knew that name. Everyone in the PR world did. Adrian Cole was untouchable. A man who hated scandals and buried lies with quiet precision. If he had the footage, they were in trouble. She turned away, thinking fast. "Listen to me," she said sharply. "You'll tell the police she was depressed. Say she jumped. Say you tried to stop her." Mark stared. "You want me to lie to the police?" She laughed softly. "You already lied to your wife. What's one more lie?" Mark sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "This wasn't supposed to happen. I just wanted out." She wouldn't stop crying, wouldn't stop talking about the baby. Chloe cut him off, eyes cold. "You didn't think this through, did you? If that recording gets out, it's not just her life that's ruined, it's yours. And mine." Silence hung between them, heavy as smoke. Then Chloe walked over, kneeling in front of him. She touched his face gently, the sweetness in her voice now poison. "Mark, look at me. We'll fix this, but you need to stay calm and do exactly what I say. Understand?" He nodded weakly. "Good," she whispered. "Now go home. Delete every message between us. Burn anything that ties us together. And if anyone asks, we barely know each other." Mark hesitated. "And you?" "I'll handle Adrian Cole," she said, standing tall. When the door shut behind him, Chloe turned toward her window, staring at the skyline. The city gleamed beneath the pale morning light. She picked up her phone and opened a new message addressed to an unknown number. "Adrian Cole, I need to talk. Urgently." Her reflection in the glass smirked back at her. Because if Adrian had the truth, she planned to buy his silence, no matter the cost. The steady hum of hospital machines filled the small room as morning light seeped through the blinds. Anna sat upright now, pale but determined. Her wrist was still bruised where Mark had grabbed her, a silent reminder of what she'd survived. Maria, the nurse, adjusted the monitors and offered a gentle smile. "Your vitals are improving, sweetheart," she said softly. "You're stronger than you think." Anna tried to smile back. "Thank you for staying last night." Maria winked. "You're not alone, honey. Don't forget that." Moments later, the door opened. Mark walked in, holding a small bouquet of grocery store roses. His suit was too crisp for a man whose wife almost died. "You look better," he said, forcing a grin. Anna didn't answer. He set the flowers on the table and sat at the foot of her bed. "The police might come by today. Just tell them you slipped. I don't want them twisting things." Her heart thudded. "Twisting what, Mark? The truth?" He sighed loudly, pinching the bridge of his nose. "You fell, Anna. Stop saying otherwise. You were emotional. You lost balance. You want to drag me into prison for an accident? Before she could reply, a knock came. A woman in her late 30s stepped in, sharp suit, confident stride, tablet in hand. "Good morning. I'm Evelyn Park. Mr. Cole asked me to check on you." Mark's smile faltered. "Who?" "Adrian Cole," she replied calmly. "The man who saved your wife's life. He retained my firm to ensure Mrs. Ellis has proper legal representation." Mark stiffened. "That won't be necessary. I'm her husband. I'll handle this." Evelyn didn't blink. "That's admirable, Mr. Ellis, but given the police report and the witness statements from the bus, I think Anna should have independent counsel." Anna looked at Evelyn with quiet gratitude. It was the first time someone spoke as if she mattered. Mark's jaw flexed. "We don't need lawyers getting in the way of our marriage." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Marriage isn't my concern. Truth is." The tension cracked through the air like static. Maria stepped back toward the door, clearly sensing danger. Evelyn turned to Anna. "The police will likely want your statement this afternoon. I'd advise you not to speak to anyone until I'm present." Mark shot up. "You can't control my wife." Evelyn met his glare, unbothered. "I don't have to. She's capable of deciding for herself." Mark's hands curled into fists, but he forced himself to smile again. "Fine. Whatever. But when she realizes you're just here for publicity, don't come crying to me." He stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the IV pole. The room fell silent. Evelyn exhaled, turning back to Anna. "You're safe now," she said softly. "But you need to stay alert. He's panicking. That means he's dangerous." Anna nodded slowly. "He wasn't always like this," she murmured. "He used to be kind." "They always are, until they're not," Evelyn replied gently. Maria re-entered with a cup of water. "Detectives are downstairs," she said. "They'll be up soon." Evelyn straightened her jacket. "Good, we'll tell them everything." But before Anna could speak, her phone buzzed on the tray. An unknown number. She picked it up, hand trembling. The message read, "Don't talk to anyone. Cameras can disappear. So can you." Her stomach dropped. She looked up at Evelyn, her voice shaking. "He knows where I am." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Then we make sure he never gets close again." Outside the window, across the street, a man in a dark coat leaned against a black car, watching the hospital entrance. His cigarette burned red in the cold light, and from the moment he lifted his phone to make a call, Anna's fight for truth had truly begun. The afternoon sun filtered weakly through the blinds, cutting thin lines of light across the hospital room. Anna sat up in bed, her hands folded tightly over her stomach. Evelyn Park stood near the window, scrolling through notes on her iPad. Maria had just left to fetch coffee. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and tension. "Are you ready?" Evelyn asked. "Detectives will be here any minute. Just speak calmly. Tell them only what you remember." Anna nodded, though her throat felt tight. "I can do that." But before the detectives arrived, the door swung open. Mark stepped in, his voice dripping with charm. "Sweetheart, you didn't tell me you had company." Evelyn looked up sharply. "Mr. Ellis, I'm advising Mrs. Ellis as her attorney. Unless you're here to cooperate, I'd prefer you wait outside." Mark gave a smooth, artificial smile. "Oh, I'm here to cooperate. I just want to clear up some confusion before this gets blown out of proportion." He moved closer to Anna, lowering his tone. "You don't want a circus, right? Let's just tell them the truth. You tripped, that's all." Anna stared at him, her heart pounding. "That's not the truth." Mark's eyes flashed. "Don't start." Evelyn cut in, firm but calm. "Mr. Ellis, I must remind you that any attempt to influence your wife's statement can be considered obstruction." He turned to her, anger creeping into his voice. "You don't know what you're talking about." Evelyn smiled slightly. "Then let's test that theory." She tapped the record icon on her iPad. "We'll let the detectives decide." Just then, the door opened again. Adrian Cole stepped in, dressed in a dark suit, composed as ever. The room seemed to shift around his presence. "Mrs. Ellis," he said quietly, "I hope you don't mind me stopping by." Anna looked relieved. "No, please. Thank you for everything." Adrian nodded once, then turned toward Evelyn. "Has the dashcam footage been submitted?" Mark froze. "Wait, what footage?" Adrian's calm gaze found him. "My dashcam captured the incident. The police will receive a copy today." Mark's fake composure shattered. "You can't just film people without consent." "It's a public road," Adrian replied simply. "The footage is admissible." Mark's breathing quickened. It doesn't prove anything, it just shows her falling. You don't know what happened before that. Evelyn stepped closer. Why don't we watch it together then? Anna's heart raced. She wasn't sure she wanted to see it, but part of her needed to know she wasn't crazy. Adrian placed a small flash drive on the bedside table. Detectives can access it directly. For now, it's evidence. Mark grabbed the drive, but Adrian's hand moved faster, steady, unflinching. I wouldn't do that, Adrian said softly. Tampering with evidence carries a heavier sentence than you think. Mark hesitated, then slowly backed away, fury burning behind his eyes. Evelyn's phone buzzed. She read a text from the detective downstairs. Be there in 5. She looked at Anna. This is your moment. Tell them everything. Don't let fear silence you. Anna nodded, clutching the blanket. For the first time in months, she felt something close to courage. Mark turned to leave, but paused at the door. You're making a mistake, Anna, he said through clenched teeth. That man's not your hero. He's using you. Adrian's expression didn't change. If protecting her life is using her, then I'll gladly be guilty. Mark glared at both of them, then stormed out. When the door closed, silence filled the room again. Thick, electric. Evelyn turned to Adrian. You knew he'd react like that. He nodded once. Now we have proof of his panic. That's just as valuable as the video. Anna leaned back, exhausted but strangely lighter. It's finally happening, isn't it? The truth. Adrian met her eyes, voice low but certain. The truth always comes. The question is, who's brave enough to stand with it? And just as he said that, the detectives knocked, ready to hear a story that would change all their lives. Rain returned to the city that evening, tapping softly against the windows of the hospital's conference room. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, reflecting off the metal table where a laptop sat open, its screen frozen on a paused frame. Adrian Cole, Evelyn Park, 2 detectives, and Anna sat around it. The air was heavy, every breath cautious. Detective Harris, a broad-shouldered man with a calm voice, leaned forward. Mr. Cole, this is the dashcam footage you mentioned? Adrian nodded. It's unedited, time-stamped, automatically uploaded to the cloud. I've already shared the access key with your department. Mark sat in the corner, his leg bouncing, pretending calm. This is ridiculous, he muttered. We're wasting everyone's time. Evelyn crossed her arms. Then you have nothing to worry about. The detective pressed play. The screen showed the bridge, slick with rain. The bus ahead wobbled slightly as its taillights flickered. Through the glass, 2 silhouettes could be seen near the back, one small, one taller. Then movement. The taller one lunged forward. The smaller figure stumbled. A gasp escaped Anna's lips. The camera caught it all in brutal clarity. Mark's hands pushing, Anna falling, the blur of motion as she tumbled onto the road. The bus jerked to a halt. Adrian's car swerved into frame. Then came the sound of brakes, sirens, chaos. Detective Harris paused the video. Silence filled the room except for the distant sound of thunder. Mark swallowed hard, his voice trembling between anger and panic. That's not what it looks like. She tripped. I was trying to grab her. Evelyn didn't even look at him. Play it again, detective. The scene replayed, frame by frame. The shove was undeniable. Anna's hands shook. She turned her face away, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Adrian slid a tissue box toward her, his voice low. You don't have to watch it again. Mark slammed his hand on the table. This is edited. It's fake. You people are setting me up. Detective Harris raised an eyebrow. Mr. Ellis, calm down. This footage matches the timestamp on the bus's internal camera. Both show the same event. The same event? Mark barked. So you're saying I tried to kill my own wife? Evelyn's tone was sharp but measured. That's exactly what the evidence suggests. Mark stood abruptly. You think I'll let you ruin my life? I'll sue every one of you. Sit down, Harris ordered. Mark froze, breathing heavy, rage boiling beneath the surface. But the detective's hand hovered near his badge. And slowly, Mark obeyed. Adrian closed the laptop gently. The truth's out now, he said. No one can erase it. Evelyn turned to the detectives. We'll provide full cooperation. Mrs. Ellis is prepared to give her statement in detail. Anna wiped her tears and nodded weakly. I just want it to stop, she whispered. Mark looked at her then, and for the first time, fear, real, human fear, cracked through his arrogance. Anna, he pleaded, I didn't mean for it to go that far. You know I was angry. You pushed me to the edge. Her voice came out soft but steady. You pushed me off a moving bus, Mark. No one spoke after that. Detective Harris gathered the files. "We'll continue this downtown tomorrow. Mr. Ellis, don't leave the city." When they left, Adrian stayed behind. He stood near the window, watching the rain pour harder against the glass. "He's unraveling," he said quietly. Evelyn nodded. "Good. That means the mask is gone." Anna looked up at Adrian. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." He turned toward her, his voice gentler than before. "Maybe not, but I know what it feels like to lose someone because no one acted fast enough." Their eyes met for a moment that felt suspended in time. Outside, thunder rolled across Manhattan, echoing against the skyline. And just as the lightning flashed, Mark stepped out of the building into the storm, dialing a number that would drag someone else into the darkness with him. The rain hadn't stopped since the night of the dashcam reveal. Manhattan was drowned in gray, the skyline wrapped in fog, and the air smelled like wet pavement and gasoline. Inside the hospital, Anna stared at the ceiling, exhausted but awake. She hadn't slept properly in days. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the moment Mark's hands shoved her, the blur of headlights, the sound of her own scream vanishing into the wind. Evelyn entered quietly, holding a file under her arm. "Good news and bad news," she said, sitting beside the bed. "The good, the police officially labeled your case as attempted homicide. They're building the case." Anna's voice was a whisper. "And the bad?" Evelyn sighed. "Mark's out on temporary release. His lawyer argued it was emotional distress, not intent to kill. But don't panic. There's a restraining order in place." Anna's heart raced. "He'll come for me." Evelyn leaned closer. "Not if we move you first." Within hours, Adrian arranged everything. A black SUV waited outside the hospital's private exit. Rain fell harder as they loaded Anna's few belongings, a duffel bag, a worn coat, and a small framed ultrasound photo, into the trunk. Adrian handed her an umbrella. "You'll stay somewhere safe for now." "Where?" she asked, gripping the handle. He smiled faintly. "A friend's apartment on the Upper West Side. Discreet, secure. Your name won't be on the lease." When they arrived, the building's marble lobby glistened under warm light. It wasn't extravagant, but it felt calm, like the kind of place where noise and fear weren't allowed. The concierge nodded politely, pretending not to recognize the billionaire beside her. The apartment itself was small but beautiful. Soft gray walls, floor-to-ceiling windows, a kitchen that smelled faintly of cedar and lemon. On the coffee table sat an unopened Amazon box. Adrian noticed her curious glance. "Inside is a set of keys," he explained. "Safer that way. Looks like just another delivery." Anna smiled faintly. "You think of everything," he shrugged. "Habit." Maria, the nurse, visited that evening, bringing homemade soup and a paperback titled Atomic Habits. "It's not medicine," she said warmly, "but it helps you rebuild, one page at a time." Anna held the book against her chest. "Thank you." Maria touched her shoulder gently. "You're stronger than you realize. Don't let fear fool you." Later that night, Adrian came by with groceries and a new phone. "This one's secure," he said. "Only Evelyn, Maria, and I have your number. Keep it close." Anna nodded, exhaustion in her eyes. "You didn't have to do all this for me." He met her gaze. "I know, but I wanted to." The city lights flickered through the window, painting soft gold on his face. For a brief second, the silence between them felt safe, even peaceful. But peace never lasted long. When Anna stepped into the bathroom, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then opened the message. "Nice apartment. Cozy. Shame if someone found it." Her blood ran cold. She rushed out, trembling. "He found me," she said. Adrian's eyes darkened. "That's impossible. Only 3 people know you're here." Evelyn arrived minutes later, summoned by a single coded text. She studied the message, frowning. It could be a bluff, or he's watching from somewhere nearby. Adrian moved to the window, scanning the street. Cars drifted by slowly. A man in a hood leaned against a lamppost, lighting a cigarette. Adrian's jaw tightened. "I'll double the security. No one gets near this building." Anna clutched her belly, whispering, "He won't stop until I'm gone." Adrian turned to her, voice steady and firm. "Then we make sure he's the one who disappears first." Outside, thunder cracked again, louder this time, closer. And in the flash of lightning, the shadow under the streetlight turned and walked away, leaving a single red ember glowing in the rain. Evelyn sat at her desk with a MacBook Pro open and a neat pile of bank statements spread before her. She had matched transactions all night, eyes stinging from the screen. Anna's name appeared on dozens of pages, used as collateral on loans Mark had opened without her knowledge. The amounts started small, 3,000, 5,000, then ballooned, each withdrawal a hidden chain that pulled at her life. Evelyn traced routing numbers to a shadow account and a consulting company registered in New Jersey. Invoices listed PR services and event coordination, billed to Mark's shell company, with payments routed back to a business name that did not exist. Chloe's name or signature appeared on many pages. Her agency staff later confirmed irregular filings that matched dinner receipts and dates Mark claimed were work. The pattern looked like deliberate laundering. Anna sat across from Evelyn, clutching the ultrasound photo like something sacred. "He used my name like a blank check," she whispered. Evelyn called a forensic accountant who pulled a clear paper trail, forged W-2s, fake employment records, and loan applications submitted with Anna's ID. One local lender had approved a personal loan before Anna could contest it. The evidence expanded the case beyond the shove. Prosecutors now looked at financial abuse and fraud. Anna felt relief at last, but also shame. "I thought I was protecting him," she said. "I never imagined he'd sell my name to buy a new life." Adrian arranged for a temporary fund to be opened in Anna's name so she could pay rent and medical bills without touching tainted accounts. He refused publicity, insisting she sign for the money herself. "Take control," he told her quietly. "Money should free you, not bind you." Anna cried, not from weakness but from a relief that felt like air after being underwater. Chloe panicked. Mark insisted she keep quiet as invoices surfaced. She called him demanding cash and threatening to speak if he didn't comply. Then the press arrived, subpoenas, audit notices, and federal interests that made Mark's colleagues avoid him. Creditors called daily. Chloe vanished. Mark retreated into silence, his lawyers telling him to wait. Anna felt the foundation of their life crack, but for the first time she pictured a life where her name belonged only to her. Evelyn opened a sealed envelope from the forensic team and froze. The report contained a wire transfer that did not trace to any local account, an offshore payment wired days before the bus incident. The origin pointed to a name Anna recognized from a photo on Mark's phone. Investigators dug deeper and found invoices that hinted at larger payments routed through shell corporations. An address linked to a Cayman account appeared on one document, and a name connected to Mark's wedding photos surfaced in metadata. Evelyn called the detective and described a pattern that suggested not only greed, but an organized attempt to erase Anna's financial identity. Bank officers flagged multiple microtransfers that pooled into lump sums, then dispersed to unfamiliar accounts overseas. The forensic accountant traced one transfer to a company registered under a different surname, but connected to a luxury property in Manhattan. Someone had quietly partnered with Mark to underwrite expenses and launder money through phony PR contracts. That explained Chloe's willingness to keep quiet and the sudden offshore payment days before the bus incident. For the first time, the case felt bigger than a violent marriage. It smelled of deliberate orchestration, cold calculation, and other actors who would not hesitate to bury the truth for profit. Evelyn realized they were no longer fighting one man, but a small network of facilitators and enablers everywhere. Someone else had been funding his lies all along. The following evening, rain softened into mist over Central Park. The city lights flickered on, one by one, reflecting in puddles that shimmered like glass. Adrian stood by the window of the apartment, his silhouette framed against the skyline. He was usually unreadable, calm, composed, almost mechanical. But tonight, there was something heavy in his eyes. Anna sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her tea cooling in her hands. The doctor had cleared her for partial movement, but she still felt fragile, both in body and spirit. She looked at Adrian quietly. "You've done so much for me," she said softly. "I don't even know why." He didn't answer at first. His gaze stayed fixed on the rain. "Do you know why I was on that bridge?" he finally said. Anna shook her head. "I wasn't supposed to be driving that night," he continued. "My assistant insisted I take the company car and drive her, but I told her no, I drive myself." He paused. "I always drive myself now." She tilted her head slightly. "Why?" Adrian's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Because the last time I didn't, someone I loved died alone." He turned from the window and walked toward her, his steps quiet. My wife, Claire, he said. She was driving home from an art benefit. It was raining that night, too. I was finishing a board meeting downtown, and she called, just to ask if I wanted dinner. I told her I'd call back in 5 minutes. His voice caught slightly. 5 minutes later, a drunk driver hit her car head-on. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. Anna's throat tightened. I'm so sorry. He nodded slowly. I replayed that call 1,000 times. The guilt never leaves. It just changes shape. That's why I couldn't keep driving past you that night. I told myself if fate ever gave me a second chance to act faster, I wouldn't waste it. Silence filled the room, deep and raw. Anna looked down at her trembling hands. You did save me, she whispered. You saved both of us. Adrian took a breath. Maybe. Or maybe I just tried to make peace with something I can't undo. She smiled faintly. Whatever the reason, I'm grateful. For a long moment, neither spoke. The rain hummed against the glass like a steady heartbeat. Finally, Adrian glanced toward her phone on the table. Evelyn told me Mark's accounts are frozen. The investigation's expanding. That means he's desperate and dangerous. You can't go anywhere alone. Anna nodded. I won't. He hesitated, then added, if anything happens, call me, no matter the hour. I will, she said. As he turned to leave, she called after him. Adrian? He looked back. You still wear your wedding ring? He glanced at his hand, the simple platinum band still resting there. Habit, he said quietly. Or maybe a promise I haven't figured out how to keep. Anna's eyes softened. Maybe it's time to stop punishing yourself for surviving. Adrian gave her a faint, grateful look. Maybe, he murmured. When the door clicked shut behind him, Anna sat in silence. The city glowed beyond the glass, alive, merciless, and beautiful. She pressed her palm to her belly and whispered to the tiny heartbeat inside her. He saved us, didn't he? The baby kicked once, gentle but firm, like an answer. Across the street, unseen by either of them, a man in a hood stood under a street lamp, phone pressed to his ear. She's alone now, the man said into the receiver. Do you want me to move? A familiar voice replied on the other end, cold and steady. Not yet, Mark said. Let her think she's safe. And under the soft glow of Manhattan's rain, danger waited. Patient, breathing, and closer than ever. Morning light streamed through the tall windows of the Upper West Side apartment, washing the room in pale gold. Anna was half asleep when a sharp knock startled her awake. She shuffled to the door, cautious. No one was supposed to know she was here. When she peered through the peephole, there was no one in sight, just a small manila envelope lying on the floor, damp from the drizzle outside. Her heart thumped. She hesitated before picking it up. The envelope had no name, no return address, just her initials scrawled across the front in blue ink, A.T. She placed it on the table and stared at it for a long time, afraid to open it. Finally, she tore the flap. Inside were 3 things: a printed receipt from a bar in Midtown, a stack of photographs, and a single sticky note that read, "You deserve to know the truth." The photos showed Mark and Chloe, laughing, holding hands, kissing under the dim light of a rooftop bar. One image made Anna's stomach twist. The Tiffany heart necklace glinting around Chloe's neck, the same one she'd once found hidden in Mark's briefcase. The timestamp in the corner revealed something worse. The photos were taken 2 nights before the bus incident, the same night Mark told her he was working late. Anna sat frozen, tears welling in her eyes. The man she had risked everything for had planned her erasure long before the bridge. Her phone buzzed. Evelyn's name appeared on the screen. "Morning, Anna. Are you all right?" Anna swallowed hard. "I got something. Someone left it at my door." "Don't touch anything else," Evelyn said immediately. "I'm on my way." 30 minutes later, Evelyn arrived with Adrian close behind. Both wore the kind of expressions people use when they already expect bad news. Evelyn spread the contents on the coffee table. "Whoever sent this knows too much," she murmured. Adrian picked up the receipt, his sharp eyes scanning the details. "The credit card used for this tab, it's Mark's. The signature matches. But look here," he pointed at the corner. "The timestamp aligns with a location ping from Chloe's phone last week." Evelyn frowned. Adrian gave a half smile. "Let's just say I have friends in data analytics." Anna looked up, desperate. "Does this mean they planned everything?" Evelyn nodded slowly. "This isn't random, Anna. This is preparation. Someone wanted you gone." Adrian's phone buzzed again, an alert from his security team. He stepped aside to read the message, then his face hardened. Someone was tailing my car last night. New York plates, registered to a shell company in Mark's name. Anna's pulse quickened. He knows where I am. Maybe not yet, Adrian said firmly. But he's looking. Evelyn opened her iPad, snapping photos of the documents. These photos are leverage. We'll use them to expose the affair and the motive. Once the DA sees this, Mark's story about an accident collapses. Anna leaned back, exhausted. Why would someone help me like this? Who would even have these photos? Evelyn shrugged. Could be someone from the bar, a worker who saw too much, or someone who wants Mark gone even more than we do. Adrian's gaze darkened. Or Chloe herself. The room went quiet. Evelyn arched a brow. You think she'd betray him? Adrian folded his arms. People like her don't love, they bargain. If she thinks he's sinking, she'll trade him for safety. Anna shivered. So what happens now? Evelyn gathered the evidence. Now we build the trap. He's desperate, reckless, and scared. That's when men like Mark make mistakes. Adrian met Anna's eyes. Stay inside, lock the doors. Whatever happens, don't open that door again without me. Anna nodded, clutching the ultrasound photo close. But when she turned to the window, she froze. Across the street, a woman stood under a black umbrella, watching the building. The silver heart pendant around her neck gleamed even through the rain. And in that moment, Anna realized the one who betrayed her husband might now be the only one who could destroy him. The chandelier at the Plaza Hotel glowed like liquid gold, spilling its light across marble floors polished enough to see reflections of passing strangers. It was late afternoon, and the grand lobby hummed with quiet luxury, crystal glasses clinking, heels clicking, soft jazz floating through the air. The kind of place where secrets were traded between smiles. Anna stepped inside with Evelyn by her side. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a folder of documents. Financial statements, police reports, photos of Mark and Chloe. She wasn't sure what terrified her more, facing the man who tried to kill her, or realizing she no longer recognized the face she once loved. Remember, Evelyn whispered, adjusting her blazer, you control the narrative now. Don't let him steer the conversation. Anna nodded, though her heart pounded against her ribs. Mark sat at a table near the center, dressed in an immaculate navy suit that looked borrowed. His smile was smooth but hollow, the smile of a man rehearsing apologies he didn't mean. When he saw her, he stood up, spreading his arms. Anna, you look beautiful. You've lost weight. She froze. I almost lost everything. He ignored the bite in her voice and gestured for her to sit. Please, let's not fight. We've both been through enough. Evelyn remained standing behind her, silent but alert. A waiter appeared with 2 glasses of sparkling water. Mark lifted his. To new beginnings, he said. Anna didn't touch hers. You called this meeting. Say what you need to say. Mark sighed dramatically. Look, I panicked that night. You know how emotional you get. You were screaming. I reached out. You stumbled. Stop. Her voice cracked like thunder. You pushed me, Mark. People at nearby tables turned slightly, curious. Mark leaned in, lowering his tone. You want to ruin me, is that it? You think this billionaire is going to fix you? He's using you, Anna. You're just his charity case. Evelyn's calm voice cut in. You might want to lower your tone, Mr. Ellis. You're in public. Mark glared at her, then forced a laugh. You lawyers always twist things. Anna, I'm offering you peace. Drop the charges. We'll settle quietly. You'll get money, medical coverage, a clean break. Isn't that what you want? Anna shook her head slowly. I don't want your money. I want my name back. My life back. Mark's mask slipped for a fraction of a second. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened. Be careful what you wish for. A shadow fell across the table. Adrian Cole had just entered the lobby. His tailored black suit drew every gaze as he approached, calm but commanding. Mark's smirk faltered. Mr. Cole, he said with forced politeness, didn't expect to see you here. Adrian's tone was cool. Funny, I tend to show up when people I care about are in danger. He pulled out a chair, sat beside Anna, and glanced at the documents in front of her. Is this the settlement offer you mentioned? He asked Evelyn. Evelyn nodded once. If you can call blackmail an offer. Mark scoffed. You think she'll pick you over her husband? Adrian leaned forward. She already did. The moment you pushed her off that bus. Mark's hand twitched toward his drink. His facade cracked entirely now, sweat gathering at his temple, eyes darting around. Careful, Adrian said quietly. There are cameras everywhere here. I'd hate for another recording to end your career. Mark froze. He knew the billionaire wasn't bluffing. Evelyn gathered the papers, stood, and nodded at Anna. We're done here. Mark's voice rose behind them, bitter and panicked. You think you've won? You have no idea who you're up against. Anna turned back, her eyes calm and sharp. I do, Mark. For the first time I really do. As they walked out, Adrian's phone buzzed. A text flashed on screen from an unknown number. Meet me tonight. I have evidence you'll want. Chloe. He slipped the phone back into his pocket, his expression unreadable. And in that instant he knew. The next move in this deadly game wouldn't be played by Mark, but by the woman wearing the silver heart around her neck. Rain glittered on the cobblestones outside a midtown cafe, reflecting neon signs that blinked like nervous eyes. Adrian Cole arrived first, stepping from his Mercedes S-Class, his expression as cold as the night air. The message from Chloe had been simple. Meet me alone. 9 p.m. I have something Mark can't hide anymore. He didn't trust her, but curiosity had teeth, and tonight it bit deep. Inside, the cafe smelled of burnt espresso and desperation. Chloe sat in the far corner, legs crossed, trench coat draped loosely over her shoulders. Her hair was perfectly styled, but her eyes, bloodshot, anxious, betrayed the chaos beneath the surface. When Adrian approached, she gave a sharp smile. You came, she said, voice low. I wasn't sure if billionaires keep appointments with women like me. He took the seat across from her. Depends on the woman. And the reason. Chloe stirred her coffee, staring at the swirling foam. You think I'm just his mistress, don't you? Some trophy who helps him forget his boring wife. Adrian didn't flinch. You helped him try to erase her. You're lucky she's alive. Chloe's laugh was brittle. Erase her? You think I knew he'd go that far? Mark doesn't tell people things. He manipulates them until they believe it was their idea. He said Anna was unstable, that she'd tried to hurt herself before. I believed him. She leaned closer. Until I saw the wire transfers. Adrian's brow furrowed. Transfers? She slid a small USB drive across the table. Every payment, every fake invoice, half of it in my name, without my knowledge. He used my business as a front. If I go down, he takes me with him. Adrian didn't touch the drive. Why give this to me? Chloe's voice softened, almost pleading. Because I know he's planning something worse. He's angry, desperate. You humiliated him at the plaza. He called me after, said he was done hiding, said if he couldn't have peace, no one would. Adrian's jaw tightened. You think he'll come after Anna again? Chloe nodded. Or you. He said he knows where you live. He's watching all of you. The doorbell chimed behind them. Chloe's eyes darted toward the entrance, and for a split second, fear flickered across her face. Adrian turned, but saw only a waiter carrying plates. When he looked back, Chloe's mask of confidence was back in place. You don't understand, Mr. Cole, she said softly. Mark doesn't lose, he destroys, and if he's going down, he'll drag everyone with him. Adrian pocketed the USB at last. Then you'd better hope this contains something useful. As he rose to leave, Chloe caught his wrist. A perfume, faintly sweet, mixed with the bitterness of coffee. You think Anna's the only victim, she whispered. You don't know the half of it. Adrian met her gaze. Then tell me. She hesitated, trembling. He recorded everything, every call, every meeting, every fight with her. He keeps copies hidden in a safety deposit box. He said if she ever tried to expose him, he'd make it look like she was the monster. Adrian's eyes darkened. Where? First National, 5th Avenue, box number 312, she said quickly. But be careful, he's paranoid. He checks it every Friday. He nodded once and left. Outside, the rain had turned to mist. As he walked toward his car, his phone vibrated. A message from Evelyn. Anna's apartment just triggered the security alarm. Door forced open. Adrian froze, then sprinted toward the car, heart pounding. Back inside the cafe, Chloe watched through the window as his taillights disappeared. She reached for her phone, dialing a familiar number. He's gone, she whispered into the receiver. Mark's voice came through, calm and venomous. Good. Now we know exactly where he's heading. Her hand shook. You promised no one would get hurt. He cut her off. You just made sure they will. And as the line went dead, Chloe realized. She had just sold more than secrets. She had sold her soul. The next morning broke gray and windless over Manhattan. The city felt muted, as though it were holding its breath. Inside the Upper West Side apartment, Anna sat at the dining table surrounded by folders and notes Evelyn had brought. Legal pads filled with questions and timelines lay scattered between untouched cups of coffee. Evelyn stood beside her, pacing slowly, coaching her voice into strength. "When you talk to the police or the press, don't speak like a victim," Evelyn said firmly. "Speak like a witness. Facts first, emotions after. You survived. That already makes you powerful." Anna nodded, her palms slick against the paper. "I keep hearing his voice in my head," she murmured. "Every time I close my eyes, I see the bridge." "That's normal," Evelyn said gently. "But fear isn't evidence. Truth is. You have it. Use it." Across the room, Adrian leaned against the window, checking updates from his security team. He looked exhausted, shadows beneath his eyes, yet every movement was controlled, deliberate. "My people confirmed the break-in," he said. "It wasn't random. Whoever entered your apartment didn't steal. They searched, likely for the photos or documents." Evelyn frowned. "They'll go after the deposit box next." Anna lifted her head. "Then let's get there first." Evelyn hesitated. "It's risky. He might be watching." Adrian met her eyes. "So we make it public." Evelyn blinked. "Public?" "Yes," Adrian said. "There's a charity gala tomorrow night at the Ritz-Carlton. Media, executives, donors. It's my company's event. We'll make our move there. He'll come if he thinks he can humiliate me, and we'll have witnesses, cameras, law enforcement waiting. Anna can tell her story there on record." Anna's face paled. "In front of everyone?" "That's how you reclaim power," Evelyn said, "by standing where he thought you'd never stand again." Anna gripped the edge of the table, heart pounding. "I'm not strong enough for that." Adrian stepped closer. "You already are. You just don't believe it yet." For a moment she saw not the billionaire, not the man from the Mercedes, but someone who understood pain, someone who had carried it, survived it, and turned it into armor. She drew a breath. "Then teach me." Evelyn smiled, sliding a printed script toward her. "This is what you'll say if you freeze. Start with the facts. Date, place, what happened. Then speak from your heart." People don't connect with data, they connect with truth. For the next few hours they rehearsed. Anna stumbled at first, words trembling, voice cracking when she reached the moment on the bus. But each time she faltered, Adrian spoke quietly from the corner, grounding her. "Look at me," he'd say. "You're not there anymore. You survived. Say it again." By the 10th attempt, she didn't cry. Her voice steadied. When she finished, Evelyn whispered, "Perfect. Real. That's what people will remember." The afternoon faded into dusk. As Evelyn packed her notes, Adrian poured coffee and sat across from Anna. The city lights glowed behind him like a crown of fire. "You'll wear something simple tomorrow," he said. "You don't need diamonds to prove strength. Just truth." Anna smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who's done this before." "I have," he said quietly, "but not for someone who mattered." The room went still. She looked down, cheeks warm. "You barely know me," he replied. "Sometimes knowing someone isn't about time, it's about what you risk for them." Before she could answer, Evelyn's phone buzzed. A message from the district attorney's office flashed on the screen. "Anonymous source just confirmed Mark Ellis may attempt public appearance at your client's event. Proceed with caution." Evelyn looked up. "He's coming." Adrian's gaze hardened. "Good." Anna's voice barely rose above a whisper. "Then tomorrow, everything ends." And as Manhattan's skyline flickered outside, the stage for justice and vengeance was finally set. The ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton shimmered like a dream stitched from glass and gold. Hundreds of guests moved beneath chandeliers that spilled light like melted champagne. Cameras flashed as servers glided between tables, carrying trays of crystal flutes. The evening's purpose was charity, raising funds for road safety initiatives. But for Adrian, the event carried a second, hidden agenda. Tonight would expose Mark Ellis before the world. Anna stood near the entrance in a floor-length black gown, simple yet striking. Her hair was pinned neatly, her makeup subtle. No one looking at her would see a victim, they would see a woman rebuilt from ruin. Evelyn adjusted her microphone discreetly. "You're ready," she whispered. "Just breathe. Tell the truth, and let them see you." Anna nodded, though her heart raced. Across the room, Adrian took the stage, perfectly composed, a picture of elegance in his tailored tuxedo. As he began his keynote speech, the crowd hushed. 3 years ago, he said, his voice smooth and deep, "I lost someone I loved because of a reckless driver. Tonight, I dedicate this foundation to every life saved by compassion and quick action, because sometimes a few seconds can rewrite a tragedy. Applause followed, soft and respectful. Adrian glanced toward Anna, his eyes steady. But tonight, he continued, I also honor someone else, a woman who reminds us that survival is the quietest kind of courage. Whispers rippled through the audience as he gestured toward her. The spotlight turned, finding Anna. She froze under its warmth, but Adrian nodded encouragingly. Evelyn gave a small signal. Anna stepped forward. Her heels clicked against the marble as she reached the podium. Cameras swiveled, flashes burst like stars. She gripped the microphone, trembling slightly. My name is Anna Tran, she began, her voice wavering before finding strength. 5 months ago, I thought my life was over. I was pushed off a moving bus by someone who swore he loved me. A gasp ran through the audience. I was pregnant, she continued, her voice firm now. And I survived because a stranger, Mr. Via Cole, stopped his car and saved me. He didn't know my name, my story, or my mistakes. He just saw someone who needed help. Adrian's eyes softened. I stand here tonight, Anna said, not because of luck, but because of proof. Proof that truth can outlast lies. At that moment, Evelyn nodded to the sound technician. The large screen behind the stage flickered to life. Dashcam footage filled the screen. The bus, the rain, the shove. The audience fell silent. Mark, hidden in the back of the room beneath a borrowed tuxedo, froze as his own face appeared for everyone to see. The video ended with Adrian's voice on the recording, calm and certain. Stay still. You're safe now. When the lights came back, murmurs spread like wildfire. Anna continued, her tone unwavering. That's what survival looks like. Not silence, not shame, but truth. Security began to move discreetly toward the back as Mark shoved through the crowd, face pale with fury. You think this proves anything? He shouted. You don't know the full story. Evelyn stepped forward, holding up her phone. Actually, we do. Your bank records, your wire transfers, your mistress's confession, every lie you built is gone. Gasps erupted. Mark tried to bolt, but 2 officers appeared from the side door, blocking his escape. Anna turned toward him, calm and clear. It's over, Mark. He stared at her, trembling, before lowering his head. You ruined me, he hissed. No, she said quietly. You did that yourself. The officers led him away as flashbulbs exploded, freezing the moment forever. Adrian approached the podium again, his voice steady. Tonight was about saving lives. Sometimes saving one is enough to change the world. The crowd rose in applause, and as Anna stood beneath the golden light, tears shining but unfallen, she realized this wasn't her ending. It was her rebirth. The next morning, headlines swept across New York like wildfire. Billionaire saves pregnant wife from abusive husband. Shocking video revealed at charity gala. The footage had gone viral overnight. Every news channel played the same loop. Mark shoving Anna, her body falling. Adrian's car screeching to a halt. It was everywhere, on phones, tablets, and digital billboards flashing above Times Square. Inside the district attorney's office, a long conference table was covered in files, microphones, and camera equipment. Today wasn't a gala or a celebration. It was the official press hearing, a controlled storm where the truth would be tested again, this time under oath. Anna sat beside Evelyn and Adrian, her hands clasped tightly together. Across from them sat Mark, pale, unshaven, eyes ringed with sleepless anger. 2 detectives flanked the room's edges while journalists set up their recorders. The DA, a stern woman named Karen Holt, stood. We're here to address the charges against Mark Ellis, attempted homicide, financial fraud, and coercive control. Her tone was steady, authoritative. Before we proceed, we'll allow statements from both parties. Evelyn gestured for Anna to begin. Anna rose slowly. Her knees shook, but her voice did not. 5 months ago, I believed my husband loved me. I believed the bruises were my fault, that his anger was just stress. But love doesn't look like fear. It doesn't sound like threats. Love doesn't push you off a moving bus. Mark let out a short, bitter laugh. You were hysterical. You don't even remember what happened that night. Evelyn cut in sharply. Mr. Ellis, you'll have your turn. Anna continued. I remember everything. I remember begging you to stop. I remember you saying you should have stayed quiet. Gasps filled the room. Adrian's hand clenched into a fist under the table. Mark slammed his palm down. You're lying. You're all lying. The DA's assistant opened a laptop, projecting a folder onto the screen. We have digital confirmation of Mr. Ellis's voice from the dashcam audio. It matches this recording." The speakers crackled to life. Mark's own words echoed in the room. "You should have stayed quiet." The sound sliced through the air like a knife. Mark's face went white. "That's been edited," he shouted. Adrian stood then, calm but powerful. "It's raw footage, certified by the State Forensic Lab. You can lie to everyone else, Mark, but not to the truth." The DA nodded. "Furthermore, the financial investigation revealed multiple fraudulent accounts in your wife's name, including wire transfers to an associate, Chloe Hart." A ripple went through the journalists. Mark's jaw clenched. "Where is she?" one reporter asked. Evelyn answered coolly. "Miss Hart has entered witness protection under federal cooperation. She's already given her statement." Mark's head snapped toward Anna. "You think you've won because you found some rich man to protect you?" he sneered. "You're nothing without me." Anna met his eyes. "Then it's a good thing I stopped being your anything." The room went silent. DA Holt stepped forward. "Given the evidence, this office is moving to full prosecution. Mr. Ellis, you are officially remanded pending trial." Two officers approached. Mark lunged once, desperate, but Adrian stepped between him and Anna. The officers restrained him quickly. As they led him away, Mark shouted, "You'll regret this, Anna. You think this is over?" She didn't flinch. "It's been over since the night you tried to kill me." The doors slammed shut behind him. Flashbulbs erupted, questions flying, but Anna barely heard them. She looked at Adrian, calm, steady, protective. Evelyn leaned close and whispered, "You did it. You took your voice back." Anna exhaled shakily. For the first time, her lungs felt full. Outside, on the courthouse steps, she faced a wall of cameras. The city noise roared around her, but she smiled, radiant, unbroken. And as she walked down those steps beside Adrian, the world no longer saw a victim. They saw a woman who had rewritten her story in her own voice. The courthouse emptied by late afternoon, but the echoes of Mark's shouting still clung to the marble halls. Rain began to fall again, light and cold, streaking down the tall windows like tears. Anna sat quietly in the waiting room outside the DA's office, her nerves humming with exhaustion. Adrian and Evelyn stood nearby, speaking in low tones with Detective Harris about the next steps. "Trial prep will take a few weeks," Harris said, flipping through his notepad. "But with the evidence and the witness statements, he's cornered. He'll try to plea bargain, but the financial crimes alone could bury him." Evelyn nodded. "He won't take responsibility until he's forced to." Adrian's gaze stayed on the window. "He's not done," he murmured. "Men like that never walk quietly into defeat." At that moment, Anna's phone buzzed in her bag. A new number. The message chilled her blood. "You destroyed my life. Now I'll destroy yours." Her voice trembled. "He's still contacting me." Harris took the phone, scanning the message. "We'll trace it, but it could be from a burner. We'll tighten your protection." Evelyn placed a hand on Anna's shoulder. "Don't let him pull you back into fear. He's grasping for control he no longer has." Anna nodded weakly. "I just want it to be over." By evening, they escorted her back to the apartment. The city shimmered outside like it always did after a storm, clean on the surface, chaos underneath. Adrian followed her inside, checking the locks, the alarms, everything twice. "You should rest," he said softly. "I'll have someone stationed outside tonight." Anna tried to smile. "You really don't have to babysit me." He met her eyes. "I'm not babysitting. I'm protecting something worth saving." Her cheeks warmed, but before she could respond, Evelyn called from the hallway. "Adrian, we just got word. Chloe's missing." Adrian's expression hardened. "What do you mean missing?" "She didn't show up for her debriefing. Her phone's off, her apartment's empty. The marshals checked her last known address. Gone." Anna's stomach dropped. "You think Mark found her?" Evelyn exhaled. "Either that, or she ran." Hours passed in silence. Adrian stayed near the window, phone in hand, while Anna lay on the couch, sleep impossible. Around midnight, his phone buzzed, an unknown number again. A photo loaded on the screen, a parking garage, Chloe's silver sedan with its door hanging open, and one phrase below it, "She talked too much." Adrian felt his pulse hammer in his ears. He turned the screen away from Anna. "Stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." She sat up, fear rising. "Adrian, what's happening?" "Nothing you need to see," he said, forcing calm. "I'll handle it." He called Harris as he left the apartment. Within 20 minutes, squad cars surrounded the garage near the Hudson. There they found Chloe's car, just as the photo showed, abandoned, her purse on the seat, her phone smashed on the ground. Inside the trunk lay a sealed envelope. Adrian recognized the handwriting. Mark's jagged scrawl. It read, "You think you can take everything from me? Watch what I take back." The letter contained a single photo of Anna leaving the courthouse earlier that day, her hand in Adrian's. When Harris handed him the note, Adrian's voice was low but steady. "He's escalating. He won't stop until he's stopped permanently." Back at the apartment, Anna sat awake, staring at the window. Thunder rolled across the skyline, and in the reflection of the glass she thought she saw movement, a shadow, watching. Her heart pounded. She whispered to herself, "He's coming." Adrian's phone rang again. This time from the front desk security. The guard's voice trembled. "Mr. Cole, someone just asked for Miss Tran. He said he's family." Adrian's blood ran cold. "Don't let him in." But when he reached the lobby, the elevator doors were already closing, and inside, Mark Ellis was smiling. The elevator creaked as it ascended, its hum echoing through the still night. Inside, Mark Ellis stood alone, drenched from the rain, eyes bloodshot and wild. His reflection in the mirrored wall looked less like a man and more like a ghost, his suit rumpled, tie missing, hands trembling with rage. The world had turned against him, but in his twisted logic, he still believed he could take it all back. 2 floors above, Adrian burst out of the stairwell, gunmetal determination in his eyes. "Lock down the elevators," he barked into his phone. The security guard's voice crackled in panic. He already bypassed the panel. He knew the code. Adrian cursed under his breath. He reached the apartment just as the elevator chimed. "Anna," he shouted, pounding on the door. "It's me. Open up now." Inside, Anna startled awake from the couch, the book Atomic Habits sliding from her lap. The rain outside had turned heavy again, drumming against the windows like warning knocks. She grabbed her phone, saw Adrian's missed calls, and rushed to the door. "Adrian?" Before she could unlatch it, a second voice came from the hallway, low, venomous, familiar. "Miss me, sweetheart?" Her blood froze. "Mark." The door handle rattled violently. She stumbled back, fumbling for the phone. 911, she whispered. "Please hurry, he's here." Adrian arrived just as the door burst open. Mark stormed inside, rain-soaked and shaking. "You think you can erase me?" he screamed, eyes wild. "Step away from her," Adrian ordered, his voice steady as steel. "It's over, Mark." Mark laughed, hollow and manic. "Over? You think these fancy lawyers and cameras can take my life? She was mine. Everything I built, she took." "You built nothing," Adrian shot back. "You used her, you broke her, and now you'll answer for it." Mark lunged, but Adrian intercepted him, shoving him against the wall. The 2 men crashed into a table, glass shattering across the floor. Anna screamed, backing toward the bedroom door. Mark swung wildly, catching Adrian across the jaw. Adrian staggered but didn't fall. "Stay down," Adrian barked, wiping blood from his mouth. Mark sneered. "You think you're the hero in this story, Cole? You're just another man trying to own what isn't yours." Adrian's voice dropped. "I don't own her. I protect her. That's the difference." Mark grabbed a shard of glass from the floor, brandishing it like a knife. "Then protect her now," he shouted, lunging again. Anna stepped forward before Adrian could react. "Stop," she cried. "This isn't who you used to be." Mark hesitated for a split second, just enough. Adrian seized his arm, twisting hard, the shard clattering to the floor. He pinned Mark with brutal efficiency, holding him until the sirens wailed outside. Moments later, police stormed the hallway. Detective Harris burst through the door, gun drawn. "Drop him, Cole. We've got him." Adrian released his grip, chest heaving. Officers pulled Mark to his feet, slapping cuffs on his wrists. Mark laughed bitterly, his voice broken. "You think she's safe now? I was the best she'll ever have." Anna met his gaze with calm defiance. "Then that says everything about the kind of man you are." Harris nodded to the officers. "Get him out of here." As they dragged Mark toward the elevator, he turned back one last time. "You'll regret this, Anna. Every story needs a villain, and you just made me one." When the doors shut, silence filled the apartment, broken only by Anna's trembling breaths. Adrian touched her shoulder gently. "It's done. He's gone." She nodded, tears spilling freely at last. "No," she whispered. "He's finally gone." Adrian guided her to the couch, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. Outside, the sirens faded into the rain. "You're safe now," he said quietly. Anna looked up at him, eyes red but steady. For the first time in years, I believe that. And as dawn began to break over Manhattan, washing the city in pale light, the nightmare that began on a moving bus finally met its end. The first morning of peace came quietly. The sky above Manhattan was a soft watercolor of pink and silver, the city still half asleep. From the window of her new apartment, Anna watched sunlight spill over the skyline and felt something she hadn't felt in months: safety. No more knocks at the door, no more fear of shadows behind glass. Mark Ellis was in custody, denied bail, facing charges that could keep him behind bars for decades. For the first time since the night on the bus, she could breathe. The baby kicked, a gentle reminder of the life that had survived everything. Anna smiled through tears. "We made it, little one," she whispered. "We really made it." A knock sounded, but this one was soft, familiar. When she opened the door, Adrian stood there holding 2 cups of Starbucks coffee. He looked different in daylight. Less like the billionaire the world admired, and more like the man who had quietly held her hand through the storm. "Morning," he said, smiling faintly. "I brought the usual. Vanilla latte for you, black for me." She laughed softly. "You remembered?" "I remember everything," he said gently, setting the cups down on the table beside a small bouquet of lilies. "Evelyn just called. The trial date's set. They're fast-tracking it because of the public exposure. The DA's confident." Anna nodded, relief flickering across her face. "It's strange," she admitted. "I spent so long terrified of what would happen next. Now that justice is finally coming, I don't even know how to feel." "Free," Adrian said simply. "You're allowed to feel free." He handed her an envelope, documents for her new start. Inside were the finalized papers for the nonprofit fund she decided to co-found with Adrian, the Claire Foundation, named after his late wife, dedicated to helping survivors of domestic violence and road trauma. "You don't have to do this," he told her. "You can disappear if you want. Move somewhere quiet. Start over." Anna shook her head. Running was his way. Mine is rebuilding. Adrian smiled, pride flickering in his eyes. "Claire would have liked you." "Then I'll try to make her proud," Anna said softly. Later that day, Evelyn stopped by with final updates and a wrapped gift. Inside was a Mont Blanc pen. "For your first speech," she said, "you'll be good at it." Anna turned the pen in her fingers, feeling its weight. "I used to think my story was something to hide," she said. "Now I want to tell it, to remind people that no one deserves to be broken just because they trusted the wrong person." Evelyn smiled. "That's how healing begins." As evening fell, Anna and Adrian walked through Central Park, the autumn air crisp and golden. Leaves drifted down like gentle confetti. People passed without recognizing them, just another man and woman moving forward after surviving too much. "I used to think the bridge was the end of my life," Anna said quietly. "Now it feels like the beginning." Adrian stopped beside her, looking out over the water where the city lights shimmered like stars. "You turned tragedy into purpose," he said. "That's what strength really is." She looked at him, her eyes bright but calm. "You were part of that strength." He shook his head. "You had it all along. I just helped you see it." They stood in silence as the city glowed around them, 2 souls scarred but whole again. Then slowly she reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. The night deepened, but for the first time the darkness didn't scare her. Somewhere in the distance, a lullaby hummed from a street performer's violin, sweet and steady. Anna smiled. "Do you think people really get second chances?" Adrian looked at her, eyes soft with understanding. "I think sometimes life puts us through hell just to make sure we're ready for heaven." She leaned her head against his shoulder, whispering, "Then maybe, this is ours." And as dawn rose again over the city that once tried to break her, Anna Tran finally found home. Not in a place, but in peace. So that's how the story ends, my friends. You're still here, aren't you? If you've made it this far, maybe something in Anna's journey has quietly touched your heart too. Her story wasn't just about pain or betrayal. It was about rebuilding, about finding light again after being completely broken. You see, life will hurt us. People will disappoint us. But as the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Anna did exactly that. She stopped waiting to be saved and learned to stand for herself. And that's what healing really means. It's not forgetting the storm. It's learning to dance in the rain after it. So maybe tonight, if you're fighting your own silent battle, remember, no one can take your voice unless you let them. You are stronger than what tried to destroy you. If this story moved you even just a little, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel. Because somewhere out there, another Anna is waiting to believe that life can begin again. And maybe, together, we'll help her find that light.